Hey guys, how you doing? This is Mark with Don't Knock the Hustle. Hey, this is a podcast series that I put together, ultimately for my hustlers, right? My gig workers, my 1099 folks, folks that can't afford to work a 9 to 5 job due to, to special circumstances. My circumstance is, I have a special need kid that's 24-hour care, which I homeschool. I do a whole lot for my kiddo and my family as a whole, and it puts you in a unique situation of how you can actually make money outside of being in that sort of situation. The journey is real, right? The journey is real, guys. Like I mentioned, at one point in time, I was sandwich caregiving. I had sandwich caregiving at one time, caregiving for my mom, which she's passed since March of 25, and my son. I have my fair share of making things work, you know what I mean? And right now is about that time, right? About to tap in right now, kind of get some of this holiday money. But one of the hustles, guys, that I've been working on that I fell into by default, and that is, content creation, right? It was something that I really didn't take serious, right? I never even aimed to get good at it. Social media kind of was like one of those new things. I was kind of old school, right? You know what I mean? I didn't care to do none of that junk. And then I had to realize, this is a different way of doing business, right? I think one of the worst things that we can do as older folks, right, is to assume that we know it all, right? To assume that we know it all, to assume that we don't have to conform to the way of the world in order for us to move in the direction that we need to move. Social media, IT, technology, all that kind of stuff, right? I had to crash course myself to put myself in position to even do some things. I realized that, my old hustling ways wasn't the way to go, right? I'm working hard, man. When I started seeing cats like my son, cats like nephews and younger cousins and stuff, these guys out here cooking, man. They making that kind of money I worked so hard for. They make that money and they sleep and they ain't doing nothing. So I had to conform. But yeah, guys, content creation, man. I'm just gonna kind of give my little peek on it. Why it works for me. Well, content creation works for me because, like I said, it works when you sleep. When I'm driving this car, it's working. When I'm on vacation, it's working, right? And it's 3 things that kind of stood out right away, and then you talking to a mind of a lot of different books and old ways of doing things and things like that. So, man, I'm looking to be that new 2.0 revised, old school car with the new engine in it, so to speak. And that's what content creation, I believe, ultimately does for me. But here's something that I know. I'm finding out about content creation, folks that really ain't into it. Man, it ain't for the weak. It is not for the weak, man. If you got weak skin, you get bothered by somebody's comment, or, you don't want to look a certain way, you got a spot on your shirt, or, your beard messed up, or whatever the case is. I don't let none of that stuff stop me from hustling. You understand me? I get out here and I put this word in front of people's face. That's what I'm paid to do. I'm paid. I'm in the process right now of starting my media company, which ultimately I'll be doing all the media stuff for all the businesses and everything that I have going on. I'm gonna be paying myself. You understand what I mean? But it ain't made for the weak. Man, I see so many people, man, get all bent out of shape and all that. This is an adult platform, folks, right? We just grown folks in here, right? All right. So I'm gonna use some couple choice words, and hopefully, man, this stuff hammers home, man. It ain't made for the weak. If you got weak skin, stay your ass at home. Content creation, all that stuff, man, social media and all that stuff. I don't get wrapped up in all that garbage. Ain't nobody paying no bills of mine. I do what I do out here. You understand me? I keep it in context. I have a good point that I'm always raising. It's always in a good heart. And, it's something that was said to me a long time ago. Sometimes with content creation and even in business and everything, sometimes, man, you got to bring a hammer to get to the heart. And, so you have to think of some unorthodox ways to get back. If I would have came to you guys with a lot of, my traditional way of doing business and everything, man, it would have been looked over. But, I have to go back. I have to study. I have to study what goes on today, and I have to take that and it's kind of like an old rapper. It's like I'm an old rapper, man, and I'm trying to get back in the game. I noticed LL. I give shots out to LL Cool J. LL, man, LL did his homework, right? Before he dropped his new album, he did his homework. You know, he didn't go all the way over there with the young folks and acting stupid, but he did pull some of them Catons. He did pull some of them beats. He did, you know what I mean? He did some study into the new stuff. So yes, that's what's up, man. You can't have no weak skin in this. Right, it ain't built for you if that's the case with you, man. If you don't agree with me, change the damn channel. If you don't like what I got popping, change the damn channel. It's just like that. It ain't nothing personal, you know what I'm saying? But other than that, it ain't made for the weak. Number two, like I did allude to it already, you know, sometimes you got to bring the hammer to get to the heart. I got to bring the hammer to get to the heart. You know, this takes me back to when I used to be a youth counselor at the group home. And man, I kid you not, I had older guys that was on the unit, older ladies and stuff that was on the unit that really didn't even have control of the unit. They couldn't really do nothing with the unit. They couldn't work with these young cats. They couldn't do nothing with them. And, you know, me personally, I came in with a whole different bravado, right? And like I said before, sometimes you got to bring the hammer to get to the heart, right? You know, after a while, man, I had them eating out my hand, man. It wasn't nothing them guys wouldn't do for me or none of that stuff. And I see them today. You know, they in their 30s and all that, man. They out here, they you know, hey, Mr. Taylor, how you doing, man? I love the way you used to kick it and how you used to do this. You know, I came with a subtle approach, right? You know, before I give you the goods, before I give you, you know, the wham bam, I'm gonna tell you about all the good stuff that you're doing, all that kind of stuff. But then I establish a rapport with them, right? The same student or the same client or the same resident that everybody else couldn't handle, right? I had to come in them in a certain kind of way, and after a while, it was crazy because none of the other staff could work with these certain type of kids, and I was able to work with them because I knew I had to bring the hammer to get to their heart. You know, so hopefully that makes sense, right? Bringing the hammer to get, you know, to get the heart. As it comes to the content game and how I use that, you know, sometimes in order for me to get my point across, I might have to say motherfucker, right? You understand me? I mean, at the end of the day, man, hey, I believe in God. I trust me, y'all. I do know who run this show. However, there's a certain way, man, that you got to get in there, man. When I worked in the prisons and I worked in doing the Scared Straight program, man, they weren't hearing none of that other stuff. They weren't trying to hear none of that. Every now and then, in order for me to even get to you, I had to get your attention. And part of me getting your attention is shit. Fuck. Ass. You know, if you got a problem with any of that, you're going to have to, man, it's almost like you lost out here. What's the whole purpose of having a whole bunch of religion and you can't even get out here and you can't connect with the world? That's what God gave, you know, that's what God, to me, right? I'm speaking to me, right? That's what God gave me, what he gave me. That's why I made myself a vessel for him as well, right? When I go out here, man, I know I got to connect. I got to connect a certain way. And it's the same thing to work with the content. You know what I mean? If people want to know, hey, man, how did I go from, a couple hundred people to over, I don't know what my numbers is at right now, but I'm over there, man. I want to say to the tune about 17,000 or something like that followers, right? I don't, thank God. Right? I still didn't, you know, I'm still learning the thing. I'm still going through the ropes and everything. But at the end of the day, guys, you know what I mean? In order to crack that, in order for me to get through behind closed doors, you know what I mean? I have to come a non-conventional way. You know, special needs and caregiving and all that stuff that I be doing on the side, right? That's not a cool trending viral subject. So you got to spice this shit up a little bit to get to where people was at. Now people is calling. You used to see. I'm gonna share. On my other podcast, I'm going to be sharing some of the comments and stuff that they put on Behind Closed Doors podcast. Some of the comments that they be getting back to thanking me. Hey, man, wow, I mean, it never was said to me like that and blah, 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 blah. That's what I'm talking about. So that's my motto, right? You don't like it, change the damn channel, period, point blank. It is what it is. This content creation, last release, is a 24-hour hustle to me. Right? I love it too, though, because I can tap in the bathroom, tap in the ride, tap in late at night, tap in doing the thing. Man, this thing is on it, right? I'm getting better. Man, I always say, man, I'm getting comfortable. I'm getting better at this thing, y'all. You know what I mean? Before I was just, you know, just winging it, right? I didn't know what to say, how to say it. But now that I found myself and I found my personality and content creation and all that, oh, it's a wrap. It's a wrap. I can be me and then it go viral, because before I wasn't trying to be me. I was, number one, and you got to do the right thing because everybody, and then number two, you got to do the right thing again. Man, scratch all that shit. I'm coming right to the chase, right? If I want somebody to buy in to some of my products, special needs is my heart, right? Caregiving is my heart. Down syndrome is my heart, right? Those are some of my topics, right? But for years, since 2019, actually before then, it was not a pretty subject. Mental health, not a pretty subject, right? So you have to, in order for you to get that mental health through, like I had to get through them kids, I'm going to have to come at it in another different way. It ain't working the non-traditional textbook, read the thing, right? 24-hour hustle, man. I mean, to me, I need to be building this thing 24 hours a day, man. I continue to reach out to people, even though most, content creators or whatever, podcasters or whatever, they usually do it on the schedule. My schedule, man, I'm at the phone. I got this phone in my hand. That's the worst thing, man. Man, take this hat off for a second. Man, that's the worst thing you can do is be sitting up on $1 million device and your ass is broke. I just can't see it to save my life. This phone that I'm on right now is a tool. This is a tool to get you to the money. This is your computer. This your hard drive. This your printer. This this is everything. And I'll be damned if I sit around with $1 million tool in my pocket and not make the best of it. That's content creation, y'all. Don't knock the hustle. Check the podcast out. It's on Facebook. It's on YouTube. I have the link and all that stuff connected here. Man, tap in. I got plenty of stories like this with everything that I'm doing. Everything from ride share to auto transport to, man, I'm an independent contractor that take care of my kid. I'm a teacher for my kid. I mean, I can go on and on and on. I made my life pay me. I holler. You guys take it easy.